Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome to the December stage of the Humankind OpenDev program. This stage features a much larger chunk of the game than we've gotten to see previously. I believe we're going to get to play through 4 full eras of a game. So we're finally going to get to see that era advancement cultural change system in full effect. And I think that that's really like one of the core cool ideas of Humankind, so I'm really excited to get to play with it. For this challenge, or for this iteration of the program, they give us a couple of different levels of AI. I picked the big one because, you know, we've played a 4X or 2 in our day. And maybe this is going to lead to me getting totally embarrassed by an AI that knows the rules of the game way better than I do. But listen, you can't be afraid of failure. If you never fail at anything, how are you going to learn? If we get rolled here, we'll just go back in again with all the information that we gained from that horrible failure and just do better the second time. So, if you are only watching OpenDev stuff, Humankind OpenDev stuff on this channel, then you have missed the last stage of the thing, because I missed the last stage of the program, where they implemented the diplomacy systems. So we're just going to be learning about the diplomacy stuff on the fly here, as we stumble around and readjust to the mechanics. Alright, so, we are now in the Neolithic Era. Your objective, well, first of all, survive, obviously, don't get murdered. But secondly, just move forward into the next era. In order to move forward into the next era, we have to earn an era star. There are 3 ways that we can do that here. We can get 5 population and or units within our empire. Right now we just have this 1 tribe unit, which is a 10 combat strength, 4 movement, melee combat type of unit. We can acquire 10 knowledge by finding like little curiosities in the world that will yield knowledge, such as this one with the knowledge symbol over it. Or we can hunt a total of 3 animal units. Doing any one of these things will get us the stars necessary to enter the stage of the game where we can found a city, so that's obviously got to be our top priority. Over time, as we find food here, we can unlock new units for our army. So there's a food curiosity over here, it looks like, and this way a knowledge curiosity. Yeah, let's, how do I close this without, because this disables some of the other tutorial systems, right? I don't know, explore to find food. Okay, we'll do it. It would be nice if we had another unit. So we found 5 food worth of wild berries there. Not as much as I was hoping, if I'm being honest. You can see we have 1 point of movement left. Let's move back toward this thing, I guess. Or you know what? Let's fan out a little bit. Let's get vision of some more tiles. Maybe there's another curiosity closer by. So obviously, food pushes us toward this population star, in addition to making us more powerful in combat. So you gotta have some respect for that. Uh-oh, a mammoth. Also, a knowledge curiosity just dropped on the ground in front of us. Curiosities kind of spawn all around all the time. It's not enough to conduct one sweep of a territory, and I really like that idea. I really like there being a good reason to keep your units moving around. If you've ever played another 4X before, after the initial exploration stage, it can get the map can get a little stale, right? You figure out where your military units should be and you just leave them there forever. So we discovered 1 knowledge and also 20 influence, which is a complicated resource that we'll talk about more later. Alright, 1 knowledge is less than I was hoping. We also have here a mammoth who looks like he's slightly more powerful than we are. 13 abstract combat power. Well, I guess let's just move in this direction. We'll grab this thing. Oh, we've discovered a sanctuary, an animal sanctuary. I believe this is going to spawn animals until we deal with it, which is the thing we might want to do in the near future. Please don't stop on that. Oh, he did. He did it. You monster. Well, is this what's spawning the mammoths? Because if it is, we should probably go deal with it. Oh, hey, that's a player. Let's deal with them in a second. So we can burn down this sanctuary with the ransack option. And that will yield us some food, as well as stopping the spawning of the animals there. And then there's another one in the tile right next to it. It doesn't give me any indication of what it spawns, does it? Maybe they all just spawn random animals? Yeah, I don't know. And I guess we have not yet met this player. Maybe they have to be closer to us. Alright, so we gained a great big chunk of food there. And I guess, you know, it makes sense to just do this again, right? Let's ransack this one. We did, in fact, successfully plunder. Okay. So the other 7 players in the game are doing approximately the same thing right now. We're getting close to having a full army here. It's worth noting that you can only hold 4 units in this army. So if we want to be able to get to 5 units to pop up our growth star, we're going to have to separate somebody out. So let's do that. You can grab this, this knowledge here. And I guess we just split these guys up, right? Let's just look for more stuff. 1 movement left on you. Well, we're finding a lot of influence. Remarkably, the knowledge curiosities are remarkably bad at providing us with actual knowledge. Okay, that's a critter we could hunt. 2 of us can take on a single deer, probably. It's running, though. So, rivers complicate movement a little bit. Moving onto a river costs a ton of movement points. It might actually just end your... It might cost all of your remaining movement. But once you're on a river, you can move up and down the river quite easily. So we're just going to use this river to pursue that deer. I have no idea where it went. And you... Can we dismiss this? No, I guess it'll go away when it goes away. Do I want to search up the river, or do I want to maybe like look into this canyon? Let's see what's over here. Okay, just a way through the mountains. Nothing terribly interesting. And yes, I see the food curiosity. I'm out of movement. I'll get to it in a minute. Well, I don't know where that deer went, but I do know that we're going to get some food here. So we just need 1 more unit worth of food. And there is an animal sanctuary right here. May as well break that down. Looks to me like we are going to hit that growth star first, for sure. So you guys ransack this, and you can't quite make it back. Oh, no, I can. Okay. You can attack things even with 0 points of movement left. Yeah, I don't know what happened to this deer or why it's horribly wounded, but I think we can handle this. So, we could, of course, retreat like cowards if we felt like we had made a mistake in sizing up this deer, but let's just go at it. I think we probably got him. So, it's pretty simple tactical combat from here. We have a deployment zone that we have to place our unit somewhere inside of. This is fine. They deploy their guy afterward. I believe attacker always deploys first. And then, I mean, there's a lot of factors involved. You know, it's good to attack from the high ground. Units that are standing in rivers are weaker. You can see he has -3 combat strength from being in the river. But we don't really need to apply a lot of tech to defeat this horribly wounded deer. Alright, so we got 10 food and 10 more influence, which is pretty great. Unfortunately, dividing food over our units is a little awkward. Because, you know, we're not really spawning new units at maximum efficiency here. And what is this? We had an event. The battle is over, the tribe still alive, most still able to enjoy the warm caress of the midday sun and the cold bite of the morning frost. Yet, you didn't come out of the encounter wholly unscathed. Several of the tribe carry nasty wounds, none more so than one of the young fighters you are most fond of. Deep in slumber, blood oozes from a deep gash to her neck. Such wounds usually end in death, yeah, it sounds like it. But one of the elder's followers thinks he can heal her by applying a poultice of tree bark and plant leaf. Yes, I feel like if she has a deep gash in her neck, it feels to me like we should do something instead of nothing. Confirm. So, we're going to get a bunch of these events, and I have no idea what lies at the end of these narrative strings, but I gotta assume trying to develop medicine's a good idea, right? Alright, so we got our star there. We managed to fill up this army with the ransacking and whatnot. And that's very good news for us. So, our actions have been rewarded with fame. We got 20 fame for that, as you can see. Assuming that this is accurate, it may be the case that players we haven't met, we don't even get to see their scores, but assuming this is accurate, hooray, we're winning the game. The way you win a game of Humankind is by having the largest fame score at the end. It's pretty unusual for a 4X game to only have one victory condition, But as you'll see over the course of this game, fame is not really one victory condition. There are so many different ways to earn fame that you still have a lot of agency in how you want to build your empire while being viable at scoring. Alright, so we've achieved one of the objectives of the Neolithic Era. We are able to move into the Ancient Era. Every time you move up to a new era, you get to pick a culture to adopt. There should be 10 of these, if I'm not mistaken, and each one of them is made up of an affinity, which doesn't have a mouse over, but we'll see it in a second, and a handful of bonuses. Usually there's some kind of passive ability, some kind of unique building, and then maybe also some kind of military unit. So, like, +2 science per research technology in your capital, and unlocks the action buyout on the Empire, which doesn't have as much information about it as I would like. And then, a unique building that makes food and science. Obviously, their affinity is science. The affinity of the Egyptians is industry-related. I'm thinking we probably, just based on, having played 4X games before, I probably want to pursue, like, a food affinity. Because growth is a good thing, right? And it looks like there's only one empire in this era with a food affinity. So yeah, let's do that thing. Hover over it with the cursor to learn more about this one. That doesn't actually... I tried clicking and it had the opposite of the effect that I wanted. That doesn't actually seem to be happening. It's fine. Does it mean hover over it now? I wonder if the problem is that it's firing other tooltips. Here, let me... Nope, it looks like hovering over that just doesn't do anything. It's fine. We'll see it. We'll see it in action. I think we are going to go ahead and take the Harappans here. So +1 food on any district that produces food, +1 food on river tiles. We have a canal network that gives +1 food and a farmer slot on the city or the outpost and is considered to be a river. That's an interesting one. And then we get this runner unit. Generates money when collecting curiosities and moves at 5 instead of 4 tiles per turn. Okay, that seems fine. So, our legacy trait, Fertile Inundations, is not just active for us right now, but as we continue to choose new cultures throughout the eras, we will retain the legacy traits of each. We also have our emblematic district, a district that belongs to this culture only, and the emblematic unit that also belongs to this culture only. Yeah, I think I'm into it. Let's be Harappan. So we will properly transform at the end of the turn here. And I think we want to probably break one of these units off before we pick up this food curiosity, right? So you move that way, you guys go grab that. And then you also just get in the river. We're going to end up with an awful lot of units here. And you guys... I mean, where do we want to scout? We have no idea. Do we have a sense of where we are relative to the borders of the map? We are south of the midline, it looks like. So I guess you should go north. Let's move to here. Oh, hey, food. Cool, even more units. Yeah, we'll search up there with these guys and around the other part of the map with the other guys. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
The challenges of a young civilization. It's hard keeping up with the neighbors when they have the wheel and you don't. Humankind learns quickly that everyone contributes. If you're terrified of wild animals, you can grow lentils or catch fish. Tribes settle towns. Towns develop markets, and markets begin the exchange of goods, services, and most important, rumors and hearsay.
That doesn't sound that important. We should see if there are subtitles that can be turned on here. Hold on. Settings. Boy, I wish there was a standardized place for subtitles to appear in video game option menus, because there are so many. Sometimes they're in audio, sometimes they're in video, sometimes maybe they're nowhere. Aha, UI. Oh. The display of subtitles is already... Okay, well, that might not be working in the current build. You know, we're still, like, very early access here. Some things are not going to be functional. Okay, so... Oh yeah, turn on the resource display. That's a good idea, game. Alright, so we can see each tile produces some number of resources when worked by a city. I already see a couple of places that I think are pretty promising. So you can see it's not uncommon in Humankind for tiles to produce like very, very small number of resources, buffed up by the presence of, I don't know, whatever they called this game's version of anomalies. So we have a couple of tiles up here, a volcanic prairie, and a river spring. Like, I'm thinking here or here is probably a pretty good place for a city. There's a lot of food available, a little bit of production, and then we can easily expand out from there toward a lot of other interesting stuff. And we care a lot about rivers. Maybe it would be best to settle here. I have 3 river tiles in our initial 7. You can see there are some dotted outlines on the map. These mark the regions. A city can only exploit tiles that are in the same region as the city center tile. So if we put down right here, unfortunately we actually only get to start with 6 tiles, because this one's outside of the region. That still might be the right play, though. It's a really good idea for us to have a lot of rivers. I mean, if I'm thinking about starting this high up, do I actually want to put down here, maybe? Because then we do have 4 starting river tiles, and look at all of the food. It's a really absurd amount of food. I think that is maybe how we're going to do things. So, we care about food for a bunch of reasons. Number 1, of course, in any 4X game, growth is tremendously important. Population is how you get things done for every possible value of things. But food's especially important for us because we selected an agrarian society. So, there's a little gauge that will appear here in the agrarian area as we stockpile food. It's different for... The way this works is different for different factions. Factions that are focused on other resources will charge their gauge with those resources. And then there are a couple of special actions available to each different affinity. Because we are agrarian, we have access to Mother's Milk, which just adds population to all of our cities instantly. Seems pretty powerful. And the Land of Plenty, which makes our empire look so good and so plentiful with resources that we actually pull population out of adjacent enemy empires. Obviously, they will have feelings about that, but it's a very powerful thing to do to somebody. In addition to that, it remains the case that moving into the next era is accomplished by getting era stars, but after that first mini era, there are a whole lot more stars available. So you can see there are 7 different kinds of stars, and we can earn up to 3 of each of them. One type of star will award you 50% bonus fame, and that's based on your affinity. Because we are an agrarian society, we get 50% bonus fame from the agrarian stars, the stars that come from creating population and or military units. But there's also stars for generating influence, for owning more territory, for building lots of buildings and districts in your cities, for getting a lot of science, for getting a lot of money, and of course, for just murdering the entire heck out of everything in the surrounding area. We need to get 7 of these 21 stars to be able to move on to the next era, and the faster we get them, the more points they will be worth. Again, victory points, very important idea. So obviously we're going to focus pretty hard on this stuff. 600 money... I mean, listen, we'll be kind of working toward everything all the time, because how could we not? There's also the competitive deeds. This is a big list of things that a civilization can do to earn a fame bonus, and once one civilization has done it, it's taken off the table for everybody else. So, like, maybe we want to push really hard to writing for some bonus fame, or something like that. Actually, that does sound like a pretty good idea. Got to get our first city up, though, before we can go doing research. So, in order to do that, we're going to have to use the Claim Territory action. And I'm going to have this unit do that. Because we want this unit, this is the fighty army. We want this army available for continuing to explore. So the question is, do we put down right there so that we can more easily reach out and grab the science bonus, or do we just go all in on food and industry? It's probably go all in on food and industry, right? Those are very important resources. Alright, you guys just scout around, look for more curiosities and stuff.
Follow me.
Okay, also animals that we can hunt, those are fine. And you look around this way. I mean, of course, we're also looking for more city sites. We will eventually want to be above one city. This is looking pretty good, huh? Got several tiles in this area that produce 3 or 4 points of resources, lots of river to work with, a coast, which could be valuable, potentially. I don't actually know how important that will be. Alright, so I think we are, in fact, going to begin settling here. Consumes all of the army's movement points. Alright, it'll take 3 turns to turn that into an outpost, and then after it's an outpost, there's another thing we'll have to do to turn it into a city. But I think that's a good start. And actually, if all it costs is movement to outpost an area, we might do it over here too. Although I suppose I would probably want to put the outpost down in this space. Yeah, it's a larger amount of total spaces worked. Yeah, I think that's right. We'll set up with those guys next turn. And you should hunt. Okay, I think we can go ahead and auto-resolve this battle. It looks pretty straightforward. Our 3 units versus the 1 deer. And indeed, one of us took 5 damage. It's a pretty solid outcome. So, now that we're in the Ancient Era, it looks like the food fueling armies directly thing has stopped being the case. We gotta build our armies the old-fashioned way. We run the food back to the city. Okay, population gains. Hooray! Okay, so you're just gonna search, I guess, this way?
Come over here. Let's go.
No, sorry, don't do that. I was trying to right-click to dismiss the UI. Let's move this way first, down the river a little bit. Okay, so that tile's alright. You can work a mountain. So I guess the question is, do we put it down right here, or right there? Because we have a lot of industry here, and a lot of water. Yeah, this is probably the right spot. That seems like a pretty strong location. Alright, so we're going to have we've carved out our own little country here. As to whether or not we have enough military units to defend it, I'm a little skeptical, but as long as we haven't really met another player yet. We do know that we saw another player's units down here, so maybe I should be scouting in that direction? Yeah, we should do that, and then this guy can loop around and figure out whatever's over here. So let's head down this way. Let's start by moving there. I like having a unit that has 5 movement right away.
Follow me.
Alright, one more turn on that thing. You, I guess, just keep looking around this area. Let's get a little bit of high ground here. We have 2 points of movement left. Even more high ground. Even higher ground. What is that? We found some obsidian. Okay, that's interesting. This is in the regions adjacent to our second... Actually, it's adjacent to both of our existing regions. That would not be a bad one to grab. It's a thing we might think about. You should just kind of generally head this way, I think. We just need more vision at this point. We need to know the surrounding land. Man, you know what I like? 4X games. I haven't played a true 4X in a little while, and I didn't realize how much I missed it until just this moment. So this is a neutral hunting party army. This is not, in fact, another player, it looks like. I mean, should we interact? Can I interact? Hard to say. Oh, also, we have a notification here. Urgent affairs require my attention. Despite all your efforts, the fighter never woke from her slumber. Her life force slowly slipped away over several days, and now her body lies cold. There is nothing more to do than perform the last rites and forget this bleak day. We lose a great warrior far too young. Her feats would have been written in the stars should she have lived. I'm assuming that this is random, that there's a chance she lives and a chance she dies. Probably that's the case for each option, and the different outcomes have different potential outgrowths of story from there. I guess we'll see. We'll see how things work out. Well, we could win this fight. I don't necessarily want to fight them, though, if there's not... It doesn't... I don't know if we're going to be able to interact with them in any diplomatic fashion, though. Just keep looking around for the moment. Maybe grab animals where you can. Oh, hey, our outpost finished. So let us select our outpost. No, it didn't. UI's lying to me. Okay, we have met... Oh no, sorry, somebody else reached this era. In fact, two somebodies reached this era. Okay, so a thing we should talk about really quickly is that the cultures are... Oh, this is going to be showing us the next era cultures. Is there a way for me to look at the current ones? I don't think there is. The cultures are exclusive. The fact that we picked the Harappans removed them from the pool for everybody else. So there's definitely some high value in being the first one to a new era if there's a particular culture that you really know you want to build toward. We are not in a position to be making decisions like that on account of we don't know anything about the cultures. Okay, so this outpost actually did finish. This one didn't, even though it was projected to, and I'm not 100% sure why. Alright, well, we definitely want to do some stuff. So once you've created an outpost here, the territory is considered to belong to you. You can see the outline is now our blue color. No one else can create an outpost there. Somebody could come along and destroy our outpost, though. We can relocate the outpost if we want to move it around, or we can just develop it into a city, which I think is probably the smart thing to do. That means this is our capital and not that one, but that's fine. I don't see any reason that we need to prioritize either one of them, and this, honestly, is still, I think, a very strong position. So you can see we're working the tiles around our... Here, if I turn off the yields, it'll just show us the yields of the tiles that we're actively working. It's a pretty strong group of tiles. You can see up here we're on plus 26 food per turn, 14 industry. I think this is a damn good start. Alright, so we want to... How does our thing work again? No, wait, that's agrarian. Where's my legacy ability? Here we go. So plus 1 food on any district that produces food, and also plus 1 food on a river. So there's not really a strong reason, I think, for us to pick the canal network over the farmers' quarters, right? If we're gonna build it on a river, like, the big benefit of the canal network is that it makes its tile effectively a river. So the question is, do we want more food or do we want more industry? The food output, the food system in Humankind works a little bit differently from other 4X games. In most 4X games, your population growth scales linearly with your food growth. In Humankind, as you can see near the bottom of this tooltip, there are actually only a couple of different growth states, and it's sort of a stepwise function. So, our city will grow at the same rate whether we have 10 food or 50, as you have to get past 50 for it to get any faster. So I actually don't think building a farmer's quarter here helps us, because it's definitely not going to boost us above 50. So let's start with a maker's quarter, maybe. We don't really have great terrain for a maker's quarter. I'm not allowed to build it on the mountain, am I? No, okay. So, the deal with the resource extraction from districts in this game is that each resource, or each district, can only exploit certain resources on a tile. For example, the farmer's quarter exploits food. So if we want to build it on one of these food tiles, it'll just pull all of the food out of that tile. If we put it on this tile instead, it'll still pull all of the food, but the tile will effectively lose all of its non-food resources. So I'm a little reluctant to build an industry district in our current position because we don't have any tiles we can put it down on where it wouldn't cost us resources. I am going to build us a farm district right here, though, I think. That's going to be a lot of food, and then from there we can build out into some more interesting stuff. And this is not going to get us to the 50 food threshold, but we can build a couple of them, and maybe we'll get there. It's going to be our long-term plan. And while for most factions there's no real benefit to being above 10 unless you're at 50 food per turn, for agrarian factions it does still matter, because the more food we're creating, the faster we're filling the gauge here, and thus getting access to our bonus abilities. So actually, that's a real good reason for us to focus on food growth, even if we're not making it to the threshold. Okay, let's go hunting, because food. Also, it's really, really easy to fight a single deer. And I believe... Here, let's just dismiss this. I believe those should count as military units for... No, they do not. Okay, you have to fight like actual player units for this. Okay, makes sense. I can see why that would be the case. Still, I think, you know, fighting. Fighting is good. We're not actually gaining any spoils anymore. They're not even worth anything. Well, then maybe we stop doing that. Maybe it turns out not to be good. I'm a little surprised that they're not still worth food. Yeah, that means that there's like no benefit at all to attacking this, so just keep looking around, I guess. Here, we can transfer over to this river. Aha! That is a player border. Alright, and now that we actually have a city, we have access to research. So let's have a quick look at our technology tree here. Our unique unit is one we already have. It replaced the base unit from before. If that wasn't the case, if our unique unit was something we had to research, then I think that would be a very strong pull for us on direction here. As it is, I don't exactly know what we want. We probably want archers. Archers are good. It's good to have ranged units for self-defense, and this brings us access to some industry buildings, which might be smart. Domestication gives a lot of food if you find pack animals out in the world. I don't think we've seen any of that. Oh, because we couldn't see the horses yet. Okay, so that's interesting. Maybe we do that and learn how to deal with horses. We can produce even more food, but to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure how hard we want to go in on this. Like, we're already very good at food, but there's benefit to being even better. There's also benefit to having a proper military, which we really don't have. I think let's... Oh, Calendar has the Artisan's Quarter, the way that you extract luxury resources. That might be worth grabbing early. Do we have many luxuries? Looks like there's saffron in this region, and then we're also near some copper, and... No, okay, we totally can see horses already, we just can't interact with them. And there's obsidian over here. You know what, actually, I think we do want Calendar. I think we want the ability to exploit luxuries. Okay, so science flowing into that. Building this will become a real outpost next turn, and we'll be able to turn it into a city or something if we want. I mean, I can't see why we wouldn't. I guess it will depend a lot on what the cost is. As a civilization of a similar stature to your own empire, this newcomer is likely to be an ally or an adversary for many centuries or even millennia to come unless we kill them all. They seek the same goal as yourself, to build a legacy that will never be forgotten.
Listen very carefully. I have a proposal.
Okay, so we've met the Olmecs. I don't really know anything about them.
This is where I greet you. Impress
Thanks.
upon you the wonder of my people, and tell you my ambitions? No? Maybe?
Okay, he seems as unsure about the diplomacy UI as I am. That's a good sign. So, your opponent is proposing a treaty. You must answer to finish the turn. You can choose to improve your existing treaty by using the Accept button. If you do, your opponent, both you and your opponent will benefit from its effects. However, if you choose to degrade it later, it will provide a War Desire bonus to your opponent. Okay, there's War Desire bars at the top of the screen here. You can also refuse the proposition with no ill effect. Counter allows you to ask something in return. Monetary compensation. Okay, so... Okay, I think these are the 4 different columns representing 4 different sort of cultural stances toward them. They want to move from forbid new trade to trading luxuries. I accept. So the trade of luxury resources is allowed. It doesn't say that they trade automatically. Yeah, I'm fine with this. This is cool.
This is good.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're happy. Also, this thing has a red thing on it. The Relations tab gives you an overview of your relationships with other empires. You can see all the other all the other diplomatic relationships your empire has, and the ones built by your opponents, and you can change them here, for example, by declaring war. Note the other tabs, the available diplomatic interactions are strongly related to diplomatic relation. Okay, that makes sense to me. Here we can see the resources we have access to. Have to exploit it through an extractor, or by getting it through trade. On the right side you can see what your opponent has. Either the opponent does not own any extractors, only trades, or you haven't discovered their deposits yet. Indeed, trade does not allow you to buy resource from deposits that you haven't discovered on the map yet. Oh, interesting. So that makes it way more valuable to explore the territory, even of people that you're friendly with. Okay, that's a cool design. We have access to horses and copper. We have not yet actually started pulling the horses and copper yet, though. And the crisis tab can only be accessed if there are grievances. Okay. Your empires have few ideological differences. The other side gains more war desire if you break treaties with them, and declaring wars applies a severe war desire drain. Okay, so as our ideologies part, this will change, and that's interesting. We're about to start looking at ideologies, because we're about to spend a civics point for the first time. So I guess, yeah, let's do that. What is hesitant? This is just his current relationship. His archetype is cruel. Oh, hey, that's a thing to note. Yeah, cruel. Population is a disposable resource. Risk-taking. They tend to engage all their resources, even if it might create holes in their defenses. And he's an extrovert. Oh no, can you imagine? He's good at military stuff, and also real good at pillaging. Okay, so not a great neighbor, it turns out. And they never surrender. The only acceptable outcome is victory. Okay, yeah, really not happy to have this person on our border. We can left-click on their diplomatic icon to interact with them. Got it. Let's talk about this thing. Can I just... yeah, here we go. Alright, the civic screen. There's at least one civic that you can vote on. The civic has been unlocked thanks to logical context, and you have a civics point to be able to vote on it. Remember that voting a civic is almost definitive. That's a weird way to describe that. Wisely choose the one you want to vote in priority. Yeah, so we have earned a single civics point. We get civics points through stability. The higher our empire stability, the quicker we will get these. And then they're unlocked by... does it? No, it doesn't show us the triggers. Some of them will be unlocked by like researching certain technologies. Some of them will be unlocked by triggering certain narrative type events. So we can put down a vote on legitimacy or founding myths. What is meant by legitimacy? Both these choices correspond to a possible answer to the question raised by the civic. Either choice will modify your ideologies, that's these 4 bars here, and have gameplay effects or unlock content. You can only enact one of the civics choices one of the choices by spending a civics point. So you can see here, each of these 4 bars has a variety of different effects that it can have on us. Like right now, in the struggle between these definitely have names, but sadly they are not popping up on mouse over. But any of the 5 middle positions on this bar gives us plus 10% industry and plus 10% money. If we move this ideology to the right, we start tilting it toward money and away from industry, and if we move it to the left, it goes the other way. So we can see this choice is going to affect our bottom bar. I do wish that the names for these still popped up, but it's fine. So this direction leads us away from science toward influence. Okay. What style of laws does the Empire use? Customary laws, historical precedent and tradition serve as our basis, or codified laws. Laws that will be debated, classified, and codified for perpetuity. And then also there are some other effects here, in addition to the ideological changes. This modifies the cost of expanding our empire. What's the other option that we had? That's the same option. Founding myths, here we go. By what right do we rule? Natural right? We claim inherent dominion over the land and beasts, or by divine mandate? Our supremacy is ordained, for we are the chosen ones. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda like the idea of pushing in the direction of science. I don't know exactly how important influence is, but this one leads us in the direction of more science while also giving us an influence gain on our main plaza, which I think is the central district of a city, right? Yeah, let's pick this one. Sort of a best of both worlds thing. Once you've spent your civics points, you have to wait till you accrue more. They're gained over time, subject to empire stability. If empire stability is in a low rate, civic points will not accrue, and also you might have a revolution and your people might rise up and kill you, so that's a problem. So, stability. Empire stability is the average stability of all of your cities. A low value will lead to revolution, a high value will get you lots of free civics points. Hooray. Right now, things is fine. Average stability, 60%. And that's because we have one city, and our stability is 60% there. Okay, we have an event. Oh, yeah. We founded our empire, and that's what unlocked these civics. Okay. So, yeah, acknowledge that. And again, I'm a little leery because this says all the tutorials linked to it will not be shown at all. I'm a little leery of using this to close these windows, but I do wish that they would maybe close on their own. So how far do we want to range away from our territory? So this is not the color of the Olmecs. In theory, the Olmecs are over here somewhere. Probably it's probably worth looking this way, given that they seem to have approached us from the west. You guys should maybe go and say howdy to these people, whoever they are. Okay, what is your deal? We are not considered to have met you yet. And yes, I know about selecting individual units. It probably could stop showing me that. Okay, what we found is a dead end. Let's go this way instead. And also some coffee. Plus 2 food per farmers per coffee on all cities. Boy, there's a lot of, like, really valuable... Oh, we did so many other things I forgot. I was going to have these guys claim this region. Well, we'll have them come back and do that, because I do think that's important. Alright, well, it looks like this one's just not going to close on its own, so we'll go ahead and manually close those. I hope there were no more things linked to those. Okay, so I guess you can keep looking this way, because we have that other unit down there to meet the Hattusans. Alright, do I have to just... I assume I just have to get close enough. Okay, well, even closer than this. That is a mammoth. I'm not afraid of a mammoth, but also it's fundamentally peaceful, so it won't attack us. Okay, what's your deal? The Hittites. Okay, so you are at peace with the Olmecs. That's good to know. I would like to introduce myself. Existing trade links will be unaffected. Ambassadors are expelled, so no information is shared between the empires. Okay.
I have something here that should please us both.
It looks like the AI really likes to open up luxury trade. I am fine with this.
Gladly.
What a wonderful event.
I would, in theory, like to be able to trade luxuries, if only we had any. So you are also cruel, you are a militarist, and you are impulsive, good at food and also industry. Yo, okay, so attack others on sight. It feels to me like we are in a strongly militarized context here, and it might be a good idea... Oh, wait, did I not respond to something? No, okay, we're good. It's just there was still a notification on them. Yeah, it feels to me like military stuff going to be real important in this game. We're going to have to develop that. So I don't know exactly where we... Oh, hey, this is a hostile animal. Is it a bear? Okay, well, I'm not worried about it. We have that well in hand. Boy, you guys better not be about to outpost. Oh. Are we seeing their orders? Is that saying that they are, in fact, intending to outpost here? That would be a wild place to do it, given that it gives control of so little of the terrain. Well, maybe we ought to issue an outpost order of our own, then? That would take too many turns, though. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys to do this, and we're gonna mash the execute orders button next turn. Except I don't know where it is. A battle is currently underway. Oh, we got attacked anyway, so I guess we're not doing that very quickly. Let's see about this event. As your horizons widen, your armies grow in lockstep with your ambitions. Now, with military power spread over several regiments, it is time to decide the nature of the soldiers who compose your armies. Alright, so let's have a look at this new civic. It can either lower unit production cost or increase combat strength on our units. 1 point of combat strength doesn't sound like a lot, but the way the war systems work in this game, little bits of combat strength are actually really, really valuable. And what is the ideological difference here? This... Okay. So on one side, it's a huge bonus to our capital, and on the other side, it's a much smaller bonus, but to all of our cities. So this is about building wide versus building tall. Interesting. Okay, a thing to think about when we have our next civics point. So we're good on the civics view. Let's go ahead and resolve this battle. This shouldn't be a problem. We can probably just auto-resolve this. Okay, we got 20 money. And unfortunately, that means the Olmecs did have time to run in here and start building their outpost, which is not great. I don't exactly know how I want to deal with that. Let's bring you guys back to friendly territory. Do we heal faster in friendly territory? We gain the supplied trait. Yes, okay. Will regenerate its health, may also benefit from other abilities. It might be the case that we don't heal at all outside of friendly territory. Okay, you guys met the Hittites, and I'm not like 100% happy about having done so. Uh-oh, we locked up for a second there. Okay, it's getting a little unstable. Okay, and we're back from that crash, and the Olmecs set up this thing, and I think it generated this notice that we now have a grievance available and may ask for reparation. Let's have a look at this whole deal. Oh, sorry, I didn't... Let's click on this. Okay, yeah, we saw this already. I reloaded from an autosave, and I think some of these notifications had not been dismissed yet. But yeah, we sure do have a grievance. The Crisis tab gives you an overview of all the grievances and demands currently available. You can see on the left side your available grievances, and on the right side, grievances available to the opponent. In the middle, you see the grievances turned into demands. When a demand is made, a crisis is automatically declared. Note that ongoing demands without answer will increase their owner's war desire. Okay, so this is live for 10 turns. And I guess if we let it sit, it'll push us up to 100 war desire by itself? So what do I do about this? They claimed a territory on my border, and I am annoyed about that. I can demand that they give me the outpost. A trade embargo will be imposed, and borders will be closed until your demands are accepted or withdrawn. Or I can renounce to create a demand from this grievance. Wait, doesn't... I can renounce the ability to create a demand from this grievance. I think that's what this means. That's worded a little weirdly. I would love that outpost, but also I worry... He probably has more of an army than we do, right? Do we have a sense of his military strength? Not really. And if we get into a war with him, it's likely to be a permanent war. I mean, I'm working on military tech. I do have a fair number of troops already, but he's also a relatively high difficulty AI, and we don't really know. I'm going to maybe just leave this, actually. Not turn it into a demand, just let it sit as a grievance while we build up our armies a little bit, maybe? I mean, obviously that's not what I'm doing right this second. Alright, so what would it cost to build a city here? Okay, just time. Yeah, turn this into a second city. So we do have the option, it's worth noting, of attaching an outpost to an existing adjacent city and just letting one city rule over multiple regions, which can be very valuable if you're, like, pursuing the path of adding a lot of bonuses to your capital or something. You just have a great big capital that has a huge swath of land. I want to have more production queues rather than a single, more productive production queue, I think. But honestly, I'm not sure if this is the right move or not. And then, as is often the case in 4X games, you can just buy out construction. I think it's probably worth buying this out as soon as we can afford to do so. We're making money pretty quickly. It shouldn't be too bad. Alright, what else can we be doing? We can be running away from Hattusa. Oh, is this gonna... That seems to be a reproducible crash. Well, that's a shame. Apparently there's something about looking down over there that is just an issue. Alright, this time I managed to get all of our armies moved, I think by staying very zoomed out before any crashes could occur. So hopefully we're all set on that, and let's just move on into the next turn here. Alright, some people are still reaching the Ancient Era. It's good to know that we're doing alright on time. So, I wonder how bad it would be for us to interfere violently here, right? This is not actually his territory just yet. I wonder if this would... Okay, I would actually need to declare a war to attack him. There's no concept of like a Cold War allowing you to attack people in neutral territory, it looks like, in this game, like there is in Endless Legend. Well, let's keep looking around this way, because I would love to figure out where the Olmec capital is. That's a sanctuary. I mean, you may as well burn it down, right? There'll be value for this. Okay, 10 money is not huge, but it'll probably get us that city a little bit faster. And then you guys would have to declare war, which I don't want to do. So for right now, I guess we're just going to keep developing tech and stuff. I don't feel safe entering a war that I know we will not get out of in any way other than totally annihilating the enemy, while we have no idea how strong that enemy is. And you guys are basically healed back up. Yeah, I guess just get out there and look for curiosities and stuff, right? And lairs and whatnot. Maybe I should leave that lair alone. Just let it spawn hostile animals right next to their outpost and see if that can take care of that problem for us. So we successfully plundered. We got ourselves that little bit of money. So at 86 gold, we're not quite able to pull this buyout yet. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave this layer up, maybe. Let's just walk past. This can be an Olmec problem. Okay, a whole lot of forests in the area, or rivers rather, that's nice. I'm assuming whatever crash was going on there, it was a rendering issue with some thing in that area. So who knows, it could be my graphics driver or... Alright, high ground? Nope, can't do that. That is a cliff. There are some Hittites over here. So, am I allowed to... Okay, we are allowed to attack in neutral territory. I guess the instant they put down an outpost, it makes the territory count as theirs for the purposes of declarations of attacks. That's a real shame. Alright, so now we're at 30 food. We can keep pushing along, or we can start building military units, I suppose. It feels like build military units isn't really that exciting of a proposition, given, you know, the fact that we only have one military unit that's exceedingly basic. So maybe what we should do instead is just build for more food? We could have a public food ceremony. You could just feast. It doesn't seem all that valuable. Could be infinitely repeated. Yeah, let's build a farmer's quarter. So, in addition to producing food, this thing is producing farmer slots. Those are these slots here. We currently have 1 point of population in the city, and that point of population can be assigned to produce 4 points of any resource, up to a certain number of people per resource. So we're not just making this thing produce more food, but we're increasing the amount of citizens that can push toward that as well. And I do want more food, but you know what? Well, I guess for right now, the money he's making is essentially construction toward this city, so it's probably fine, but we should move him after this. And I think we're just gonna build another... Yeah, we'll produce some more food for our existing districts. You can see this tile does work this district does work the tiles around it, but it only extracts the one resource from them. So I think we will... Let's go Farmer's Quarter here, because we'll grab that tile's food as well, in addition to all the pluses. And we're going to see if we can get up to the high food production. And of course, pushing hard on our agrarian bonuses. Makes me a little nervous, the number of Olmec troops that we see moving around here. I think not going to war with them might have been smart, but also, I'm still nervous. We are 2 gold short. Can I see a curiosity anywhere? Because our units do make money when grabbing curiosities. It'd be really nice if we could just buy that out this turn. Unfortunately, you're not on the river, so you're gonna lose your turn pretty much no matter how you do this. Yeah, the rivers are exciting from an our growth mechanics standpoint, and somewhat less exciting from a moving around trying to see things standpoint.
Come over here.
Alright, we got an animal sanctuary. Well, it just looks like there's no curiosities left. Probably the AI is, pretty aggressive about taking them, I assume. Alright, so we'll have to buy out our city next turn. That is a real shame. I assume the idea is he's just playing defense. What is he actually running here? So he just has basic scouts. Well, until they develop a real military unit, I suppose we do have a military advantage, because our basic scout replacement is slightly better. So yeah, I don't know, maybe we should just produce some military. I mean, obviously, the fact that it costs population to, you have to take a point of population to turn into the military unit does incentivize us to maybe build up a little bit more first. Let's get some food buildings going here as well. So obviously this is pretty good. These tiles over here are just a point of food each, right? Sorry, this is the button I want. Yeah, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if we built industry stuff out in this direction. Let's start with a farmer's quarter. We lose 1 industry... Man, maybe that's not even worth doing. Maybe we build it here instead. Yeah, I think we definitely build it here instead. This is that's a lot of food. Alright, unfortunately... Oh, hold on. Let me also go back to Harappa. We could probably pull you over to this. Yep, it takes a turn off of the build of our farmer's quarter. Alright, I don't even know what you're looking for, unfortunately. Just around, I suppose. We should definitely be looking for more locations to build cities. So maybe that's what the Southern Army's deal is. So we found a coastline here. We have some idea of the shape of the landmass then. I guess let's have you run up the coast. I don't think it's terribly likely that they're going to attack us, even though they can, because this is neutral territory, on account of, well, first of all, I mean, we might actually win that, with their unit being lower combat strength, but secondly, like, we have superior position, and also, grievances. Also, I would get so many grievances, I'm sure. So, there's horses here. Man, this region really did have the good stuff. Can I... Okay. It wants to explain to us about War Desire. I suppose this is a good time to learn. War Desire illustrates how strongly your empire supports open war with a given opponent. As such, you have a different War Desire meter for each of your opponents. That makes sense. War Desire is a diplomatic resource. If you are not at war, it does not directly impact your empire, but you should try to keep it as high as you can. Really stoke the flames of hatred in the hearts of your people. Because when at war, having low War Desire can lead to surrender and submission to enemy demands. Okay, so to increase your War Desire, just be an unreasonable asshole all the time. I don't necessarily want to do that. I could demand they give me the city, but there's no way they're going to do that, right? Do I think it's sensible to be at war with them right now? Honestly, it's... Again, without knowing where their territory is or like having a good sense of the size of their army, it's really hard to feel comfortable doing that. I'm just gonna let my... Okay, we're not gaining War Desire from this anymore, though. In fact, we're losing War Desire because we're at peace. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna not go to war immediately. Let's just try to focus and build, and we'll deal with the fact that we got resources stolen from us. We'll expand in a different direction. Probably that's not a huge surprise to anybody who's watched me play many 4X games. You know, war is just not usually... It usually turns out not to be the best way to generate more resources. Some games that's not the case. So, writing. We will gain a civics point immediately, gain access to the market quarter, and the food market, and the House of Scribes, and also 50 fame. Don't forget that, that does matter. What else can we pursue? +2 food on river. I'm not 100% clear, so it's family irrigation level 1, next upgrade artificial reservoirs, which it says is a thing in the classical era. Okay. So I guess what it's just telling us there is that this is a building that has an upgrade in the future, and we'll know it's an upgrade because it will have the family irrigation marker on it. So we do have access to horses. And maybe it would be a good idea to get the ability to build horse units. Although Scout Riders don't actually have more combat strength than our current unit. I mean, the chariot certainly does. Really, you're building toward the chariot when you take that line. Sailing might be valuable. So we do have a coastline available to us. And fishing. Fishing is available. The harbor actually exploits all the resources in its tile, and it generates money. For some reason, it lowers stability. Okay. So if we wanted that, we would go through carpentry, get our archers. You know, it's probably a good idea for us to pick up the ability to make archers, because I think that, despite my currently peaceful standing, we're going to end up at war with both of our neighbors eventually, probably. They seem like the type that are hard to persuade out of war. This area has some okay tiles. It doesn't really have anything particularly interesting yet. I guess let's keep exploring this region. We may want to expand into here.
Off we go.
And you guys are just participating in the search for the Olmecs.
Yes.
There's some very rich land up here.
Will do.
Let's see where this takes us. To another cliff. Sure, a lot of cliff faces around here. Well... Okay, so that's something. There's a curiosity down there. I don't know how we're ever going to reach it, but it is down there. So, if we want to grab territory, I mean, obviously there's the horses in this region, and this region does have a pretty dense group of resources here. Like, a city center there seems pretty great. And then you expand out to here, and there's like... Yeah, I like that. That's a huge amount of food. So that's your plan. You go this way in the future. We need to, at the very least, be putting up outposts, even if we can't necessarily get our cities going. Alright, so we're building lots and lots of food output stuff. I'm going to have you continue on this way, and you guys should probably just come home. But we can come home via these rivers, and maybe get a little bit more vision on the way back. Because as it is, we're sort of, our whole military is sort of far away from defending us. So we're getting pretty close on this. The longer it takes us to get the stars, the less they're worth. You might have noticed this was 150 fame when we entered the era. Now it's only 132. We're not moving toward any of the other stuff particularly quickly. Own 5 territories attached to any city, including the city's territory. So just own 5 territories. It's a weird way to word that. We are producing influence, but we're not close on this. I mean, we're building districts, and of course, we're doing researches. So, I mean, we're working toward a couple of stars. Some people are still entering the era, though. The Empire 5 now feels differently about you. Which one is that?
You
That's
should
the
listen
Olex,
to
okay.
this.
They are proposing a treaty. They would like to have a non-aggression pact. Yeah, I bet. Running all up in my territory and settling a thing right next to me, and then please don't attack me in my stolen territory. I think we're gonna let them keep it. I think I'm gonna take a non-aggression pact. We no longer tolerate skirmishes.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, enough of you. I'm gonna just live with this grave insult here. I'm gonna swallow my pride. I'm gonna be the bigger civilization. Interesting. So, more settlement going on up here. Yeah, maybe I misread. Maybe they were always north of us. I guess we can work toward verifying that they are not this way. That mammoth is extremely inconvenient. It's one of the most inconvenient mammoths I've ever seen. Alright, that was the guys who have... Boy, we need to up the speed that the map scrolls at. So, this was where I was going to put down the thing. Let's do that. Cannot be done as the terrain type is not valid. Can't put a city center on dry grass? Okay, we could do just about anywhere else. This outpost costs... Huh. Why does this outpost cost influence? I do wish it said. Is it a matter of... like, total size of our empire? Is it a matter of proximity of enemy areas? Hard to know. Okay, so since we can't build here, what makes the most sense? I mean, this is pretty good. This gets us a lot of food and industry. It doesn't get us that science bonus over there. And it only has 3 tiles of river in its initial 7, whereas this has 4. So we're trading 3 food for 3 science by doing that. But also getting extra river. I think this is reasonable. Okay, so you guys do that. Alright, more population, always welcome. So just building more outposts is a pretty good way to generate population, because they get their first point of population really quickly. Yeah, we might do the same thing over here. This is wild, this mountain range. We could put up a very productive city here. If we did this and then we built a workman's quarter there, we would have enough food for initial growth. We have a river nearby. Yeah, move to at least here. Show me what's up with this region. I think I'm going to do that. This city can maybe be our army producing city. We do not have a lot of other resources, though. We have very little money coming in, and somehow we're doing quite well on influence. I'm not 100% sure where it's all coming from. 9 from this city, and 9 from... Okay, well, I guess that covers it. Maybe 9 is like a pretty baseline figure for a city. Okay, so you finish this. You are pulling in just a huge amount of food at this point. 37. So, do we want to keep trying to push that up? Greenery gives +2 food per farmer plus another farmer slot. We're still not actually in a good place population-wise, so I am inclined to do something like this. Yeah, maybe. So we put this down here, it'll give us even more food. It looks like this does not gather the food from the water. You can see it doesn't have that that resource thing pulling in. I guess it makes sense to build it here. What is the normal resource output of this tile? Nothing. Yeah, we're certainly getting less from expansion. I think, actually, you know what? You know what I might do here is Maker's Quarter in this direction. We lose 3 food, but we pull in... Oh, we only pull in the... We're not getting the industry from the mountains, it looks like. I mean, obviously, putting the thing up is itself worth some industry, but I don't want to trade off that much food. Yeah, maybe since we're about to get another point of population, maybe we do put up a granary. With 2 points of population working this at 6 food each, thanks to the granary bonus, we'll actually not be too far off of pushing into plus 50 per turn. Alright, you guys are desperately just trying to get around this mammoth. This extremely inconvenient mammoth. Okay. We're the first to discover the Vinikunka natural wonder. So we got some fame for that. That's cool. And what is the deal with this? A site of daily worship and offerings. The sweeping mountain range is a testament to greater forces. I mean, it's very pretty. So if we control it, we get some influence and stability and money. I mean, this is pretty far from our territory. Also, it's kind of shocking. There were Olmecs, like, right here. We beat them to this by probably a single tile. So that's cool. I mean, that's a lot of score. We just really gained a lot of points for that. Boy, what is going to be the best way to get around here? I don't think that's going to work. That looks like a cliff. I think we're going to get over there and discover we can't make it around. So I guess we just turn back this way. And we got ourselves a bunch of knowledge for finding that wonder, I guess. Or maybe I stepped on a curiosity that I didn't see. Let's go ahead and work toward fishing. Oh yeah, we had a lot of knowledge there. That's quite a lot of overflow. Alright, so I suspect now the Olmecs are more north of us. And for the moment, we're going to try to get away without building a lot of military stuff. We're going to just hope that we can get this done via growth. Produce the ability to produce more military units. We have a new culture star. We have a new era star. We'll have a look at that in a second. And it's religion time, I guess. Your empire has enough population to have its own state religion. So are we polytheist or shamanist? I do not have a good sense of how important faith is. One of these is more faith and the other one is more influence. Let's try the polytheism. This cannot be changed afterward. Alright, we did in fact get an era star. What did we get it from? Okay, we hit our first population thing. That makes sense. So that was a good amount of fame. Era stars are spread across 7 categories that correspond to the 7 cultural affinities. There are 3 stars to unlock per category, and the era stars that match your cultural affinity do not yield you twice the amount of fame, as we saw from the math earlier. Okay. And we did it. We did a deed. Hooray. Wonderful Vinikunka. Worth the same amount of fame as creating a nuclear weapon. Also, the first calendar. The invention of the calendar heralded a glorious day in the Empire's history. Now, with 2 major cities and numerous farming affairs needing to be harmonized across the land, it is time to standardize this calendar. Traders must have an easy means of synchronizing their activities. By what means do you wish to track the days? Yeah, this is a good question. The learned assure you that a solar calendar will better stand the passing of the seasons, while the waxing and waning of the moon is something familiar and comforting to your people. I think I'd rather be right than comfortable. I would rather my people be right than comfortable. That's for damn sure. Okay, so you guys are just continuing to search northward. Oh, hey, another thing. Go discover the thing. Some animal remains, a little bit of science, and of course, money, because of the unique trait of our unit. So you guys have put these up. I don't know that I want to... Is that... That's not Olmec color, right? That's a sort of a more of a magenta, and I think they're more brownish. Okay, go say hi. I think that's probably pretty important. Need to know who we're dealing with here. And it is going to take forever to get back to friendly territory. Alright, get on this river and we'll map it from there. To provide more faith to your religion, that's a rough text color on that background, you can build a holy site. Select this special district. Note that holy sites as well as cultural wonders cannot be replaced by another district. Be certain you are happy with its placement. It feels like we should maybe not build that right now then, because all of the tiles around us, is this going to obliterate the... Oh, no. It does not break the yields of the tiles. Well, it's a pretty long build. Do I want to do that? Here, you know what? Let's exploit our luxury first. This will provide some bonus stability. Everybody loves saffron. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So, 198 faith. How does that compare to everybody else? Nobody else has any stars. So that puts us in a pretty good place. Do we want... I don't even think we want to interact with this sanctuary. And we don't have to be nervous about these dudes. They can't attack us on account of that treaty. Unless they break the treaty suddenly without warning, which I suppose is a thing they could do. I don't actually know how the treaties work. Alright, we've met... Who are you? What's your deal? The Nubians. So they are loyal, committed, and wary. Seeming somewhat less dangerous to us than our other allies. They are warriors and protectors, plus 4 combat strength in combat for units adjacent to the district on garrison. So that's really powerful. These guys would be hard to break through. And they value garrisons a lot. Yeah. We do not want to fight the Nubians, but we might be able to make friends.
This arrangement would see both our empires prosper.
I am into trade. I would also... Can I counter... Okay, you don't get to, like, negotiate a counter proposal. It's always just give me money in exchange. You know what?
I like you.
I'll take this. My guess is they wouldn't have given us that money. Right, because that's 100 gold is a lot. Alright, we'll just do this for right now. Propose alliance. Ask for an alliance and access to more treaties. Battles can be crossed if this treaty is signed with all of the belligerents. Okay, so we can move through a battles area of influence before it is completed. That'll be important in some cases because battles can spread across multiple turns. So if we aren't allied with all the belligerents, there's a big area of the map may just be dead to us for several turns in a row. The cost of buying a resource and transporting it across the other empire's territory is reduced. Armies are able to enter the other side's city walls without penalty. And military intelligence is freely shared. I'm assuming that we're not going to be able to get a quick alliance here. We probably are going to have to make friends. Right now, they are hesitant toward us. Let's just work on that relationship slowly. But it's cool to see a person who doesn't necessarily want to cut my face off. You know, it's a nice change of pace. Alright, we aren't really making a ton of money, so we can't push super hard on buying stuff out. Alright, we know stuff about fishing now, and we just need one more tech to get the next Era Star, right? So that kind of motivates me to pick a short one. Do we want animals, or do we want... You know what? City defense comes with basic wall technology. That's probably a good idea. Again, lots of hostile empires nearby. Okay, animal remains, that's cool. What is our total empire knowledge output right now? Does this show that anywhere? 8 science. Okay, so yeah, when we pick up a thing that's like 3 or 5 points, that's actually very significant. I do need to up the scroll speed a little bit. I think we are moving really slowly. I'm sure that's just a thing you can do in the options. I'll do it between episodes. Okay, so we're heading you back home, because I should probably not have no military units, especially with the Olmecs running around. I mean, I know we signed a pact and everything, but still. Okay, so we could buy this out if we wanted. And then get to work on an obelisk here. I don't exactly know... where's our faith output? Okay, hold on. Let's have a look at this. We had to figure out how valuable faith is. On the left panel, you can see the state of your empire's religion, the name of your state religion, and its religious leader. This could be worded... They should probably pull the word state out of this sentence just to sort of smooth this out. On the map, you can see territories influenced by your religion. To grow your religious influence, you have to produce faith. To produce the invisible faith, you need to build holy sites. Some cultural wonders also provide it. Finally, unlocking tenets can also increase the passive provided by your religion. I sort of understand. This territory is dominated by animism. With 23% religious belief over it, the empire it belongs to believes in Harappan's polytheism and is taking over thanks to their current belief. So, these guys founded an animist religion first, and that influenced us. But now we're turning toward our religion now that we founded one. Okay. Go to the screen listing all the tenets. Okay, so this is like a whole thing. When your state religion gets enough followers, that's how you get tenets. And there are multiple tiers of... Okay, well, you know what? All of this is stuff we can worry about later. But so basically, if I wanna interact with this system, I do need to build one of those holy sites. Okay, that's doable. That's a thing that can happen. So, that said, I probably want to build a harbor first. Right, I wouldn't be able to benefit from this anyway, because it's not in our region. So, yeah, this seems pretty good. Just pull a whole bunch of extra food. You know how I feel about extra food. Oh, did I? Wait, what? What was my world deed? It was a thing I did without thinking about it. It was this, which has no text. Okay, that's probably supposed to say something. Alright, cool. More fame. More fame for us. We are now leading massively, although somebody else did get a star. Alright, so we're working on that harbor. A new grievance is available. Who did what? Of course it was the Olmecs.
I have a proposal.
They would like better trade. They claimed another territory on my border? They sure did. I'm not too upset about that one, especially since it puts them between the Hittites and me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to renounce this.
I hold no grudge.
Enough of this rot.
How about that? He was not happy about that one. I thought that was going to be pleasing to him. Sure.
Most glorious! Yes!
Marvelous, like the first rays of daylight.
Okay, so now we could trade strategic resources. If only I had any. Someday, maybe. Someday we will take over these horses. You guys should probably just move this way. I mean, in theory, the Olmec homeland has to be somewhere around here, right? There's only so many directions they could have come from. Okay, so here's a source of copper, which might be worth picking up. This region is adjacent to some of our already extant stuff. Do we want to start turning these into more cities, or do we want to attach these to our currently existing cities? I honestly don't know, what makes sense as a strategy here. I think for right now, let's try to play this in a pretty classic way and make everything its own city. There are some downsides to that, of course, but in particular, it's going to be easier to maintain your stability if you have a smaller number of cities, because then you're averaging over a smaller over a smaller denominator, so it's a lot easier to exert control. The wider you get, the less stable you get. Yeah, that's interesting. And if we just attached this to an already existing city, we could potentially provide a lot of bonus industry. I'm gonna try to stick to making a lot of cities for right now. So this is what all of our money is going to for the foreseeable near future. It's very important that we get all of those built. And now that we have sort of a plan and sort of a direction, I'm looking at the clock here and realizing I've been going for a bit. Maybe this would be a good place to call the episode. That's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. The intention here is to do another hour of gameplay each weekday until we complete the scenario. So, come back next time, tomorrow, for hopefully us not getting murdered by the Olmecs. And we'll see you then.